Hello, hope you're having a great day. Today you join me on my way over to my other garage to do some bits on my cars. I hope you can hear me over the racket that this car makes. But today I want to talk about an idea or a concept that I like to try and keep in the back of my mind at all times. It's one of them things that sort of helps me navigate life in many ways. It helps me try and be the best person that I can be, and it helps me deal with people that aren't necessarily living a life where they seem like they're trying to be the best person they can be. But it also helps me to extract any positivity or anything useful from people in my world that are doing things that I can look up to, things that I admire. Now, the concept is quite basic, right? It's just seeing every single person in the world as an inspiration, including yourself. So what do I mean by that? You know, you might think that's silly, not everyone's an inspiration, but they are, because people can either be an inspiration in terms of someone you look up to, someone that you want to emulate, someone that you want to be like, or they can be an inspiration in terms of being the kind of person that you don't want to emulate, that you don't want to be like, someone that you don't want to follow, right? And look, you know, it's important not to put people on a pedestal if you do believe that they're quite inspirational, and it's also important not to look down your nose at anyone that you perceive to be the kind of person that you don't want to be like, right? So, you know, this idea is something you need to keep in the back of your mind, but you don't want it to turn you into an egotistical person or turn you into someone that thinks you're beneath or above someone, right? And also, you know, this thing isn't sort of night and day, right? Someone might have attributes that you do find inspirational, that you do want to emulate, and then they might have other traits that you don't necessarily find inspirational, that, you know, you don't want to follow, that you want to learn from, because, you know, you sense those traits from the third person perspective because you see it in other people, and then, you know, that kind of gives you a reminder that, yeah, you know, maybe I don't want to act like that, because you've kind of experienced what it looks like from the outside, right? So essentially, as I say, the idea is that every single person, including yourself, is an inspiration, right? So, you know, if someone is particularly negative or someone is attacking you in some sort of way, if you keep that in the back of your mind, it can help you not lose control when dealing with that person, right? Because, you know, if someone is trying to attack you in any kind of way, or, you know, someone's behaving in a way that you'd prefer they didn't, you can just remember that, you know what, some people, they're supposed to act like that in front of you so that they can be an inspiration to you of how not to be, right? And you can kind of go through life without the need to try and change other people, right? You don't want to be trying to change other people. That's down to them. It's down to everyone individually to turn themselves into the best person that they can be. And not everyone bothers. Most people in the world don't bother focusing on, you know, how good of a person they are. They're just too busy going through life, being led by their own minds, you know, living a life as an NPC, a non-player character, and that's fine, right? A lot of people don't realise that what they're doing, and it's fine. It's not your job to change them. So if you're faced with someone that, you know, is doing something, you know, or is attacking you in a certain way, or is behaving in a certain way that you don't like, you can just remember, do you know what? This behaviour that I'm experiencing now is there because it's supposed to be an inspiration to me of how not to be. And there's no need to try and battle against it. You can just accept it, you know, because acceptance is important, like in life. You know, anything that you can't really change, you must accept, because otherwise you're just tying yourself in knots and, you know, wasting energy trying to change something that ultimately can't be changed. And, you know, that's something you should be doing in your own life, but also when it comes to dealing with people that, you know, aren't necessarily acting in a way that you particularly like. Now, on the other hand, you know, keeping in mind that everyone's an inspiration, good or bad, means that you're going to be more open to noticing when people are behaving in a way that is inspirational in the sense that you do want to emulate it, right? And it's a way of, you being more of a sponge to soaking up positivity, witnessing certain behaviours from positive people in your life, and through the internet, etc., and using those experiences to better yourself, right? Which is, in my opinion, the most important thing in life. Trying to better yourself and level up in all areas of your life as you move through your life. So understanding and remembering whenever you can that everyone's an inspiration means you're going to be more focused on looking out, for instances where you can be inspired by positive people. And ultimately, if there's people out there that have got what you want to get, then really and truly you need to try and be who they're being, so that you can then get to a place where they are. That's what being inspired by people is all about, right? So that's all about seeing other people as inspirational, whether it be good or bad. But also, as you're going through life, if you can also remember that you as well are an inspiration to people, whether you like it or not, and whether it be good or bad, then that can be something you keep in the back of your mind to keep you on a positive path yourself. Any time that your ego tries to come in and tries to make you do something that deep down you shouldn't be doing, then you can remember to yourself, hold on a minute, I'm an inspiration to the world. Is this behaviour or is this idea that I'm having that might be a bit negative, is that going to be inspirational to the world? Am I going to be improving the world by engaging in such activity or indulging in certain thoughts? Because if not, then that's a good enough reason, in my opinion, to try and stray away from such ideas. It's funny because if I had to pick one thing in my life that gives me the most joy, that gives me the most pleasure, I'm a busy guy, I like to mess about with my cars, that gives me joy. I like to see myself getting stronger and stronger through my fitness and through my diet and stuff. I love that. I like to now see myself, I hope, getting more and more intelligent, soaking up more ideas from studying stuff online, etc., etc. But I think hands down, the best feeling that I get in my life comes from when people email me to tell me that I've inspired them, tell me that they've learnt something from me, to tell me that they've taken something from what I'm doing and in some way have implemented it into their life and it's improved their life. Whether it be from the ideas that I share on this channel, or whether it be someone that's seen me working on my car and they've then been inspired to have a go at fixing their own car or modifying their own car, and it's come out all right, and they've been really proud of themselves because they've been able to achieve that. Whereas before they sort of watched me, they might have just assumed that they wouldn't be capable, things like that. I'm lucky that I get a lot of messages from people saying that I've inspired them, and it really is the best feeling ever, and it sort of reinforces this idea that I'm trying to explain to you guys today, right? Everyone is an inspiration, including you. So as much as you can when you go through life, just try and keep that in the back of your mind. Now the problem is that when you're in the heat of the moment, say dealing with someone who is behaving in a way that you don't find particularly helpful, that's sort of the time when you're prone to sort of not think of these things, right? Because you're lost in the moment of whatever negativity you're dealing with. So I get it, we're not perfect, but then that gives you an opportunity to, after the fact, it's okay to, after the fact, realise what has happened in any negative situation, right? I've said before, I like to try and live in the present moment, and that basically all negativity in your life is rooted in past and future, in my opinion, if you dissect it. And living in the present moment as much as you can, it doesn't mean that you're never ever going to get into conflict in your life. It doesn't mean that I never ever have a breakdown, I never ever get the ump, far from it. But what I've learned is that even if you do, say, lose your rag in a certain situation and you're unable to bring yourself to the present moment in that situation to sort of calm yourself down, it's okay to, after the fact, even if it's a week later, even if you spend a week depressed, it's okay and it's a must to look back and see exactly what happened as a way of sort of moving forward and hopefully being better at dealing with whatever situation arises in the future. You know, they are examples of looking back to see what has happened and, you know, using that to benefit you moving forward. You know, they're examples of healthily, you know, drawing your attention to the past or the present moment. But ultimately, you know, when you're going through life, I just sort of see it as, you know, it's been immense to improve my life for me to focus as much as possible on the present moment when I'm going through my day-to-day things. And this is another example, right? You know, when you're in the heat of an argument or something and you're not able to sort of remember or you're not able to concentrate on the fact that, you know, this person in front of you might just be an inspiration in terms of how not to be, and, you know, in the heat of the moment you might not be able to actually focus on the thought of, hang on a minute, I'm an inspiration to the world, you know, and use that as a way to sort of react in a more positive way. You know, you might be caught up in the moment and you might not have that in the back of your mind, but in those cases it is okay and it is a must to, you know, once you've gone through that situation, then look back at it to reflect on what happened, and then sort of reinforce in your mind, hold on a minute, that guy there, you know, he was doing something that I didn't agree with, but at the time I wasn't able to remember, but I know that, you know, I shouldn't be wasting time trying to change things that I can't change, or people that I can't change. And in that moment they were an example of how not to be, and I didn't sort of see it that way in that moment. And also because I am also an inspiration to the world, the way I reacted there by reacting and by not staying calm wasn't very inspirational, you know. So you can acknowledge exactly what happened, and then, you know, if you do that enough times, then you've got more chance when similar situations arise in the future to actually be able to deal with it in the moment. But yeah, the other thing I must stress, you know, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, is that you can't look at it as night and day. You can't look at it as person A is an inspiration in a positive way and person B is an inspiration in a negative way, because you don't want to sort of just write people off as negative people just because of a certain trait that they might have, because, you know, we're all a mixture of different opinions and different traits, right? And in the same way, you don't want to put someone on a pedestal and see them as someone that is definitely inspirational and someone you look up to just based on a couple of their ideas, because then you might find yourself being led on to following other traits in that person that might not, you know, resonate with you, that might not align with your morals and your values. So, you know, you do need to look at it in a passive way, you know, without labeling people, because you don't want to be putting anyone on a pedestal and you don't want to be looking down your nose at anyone, because, yeah, they're both things that are very egotistical and they're not going to be beneficial to you developing as a person, right? You know, most of the negativity in our lives is ego driven. You know, it is from past and it is from future and it is from ego. So, you know, ego's got its benefits, don't get me wrong, like, but you don't want to be looking at other people in an egotistical manner, and you don't want to be looking at other people in a way that you're labeling them in sort of extreme definites. You know, we're all a very mixed bag, you know, we're all a combination of different values, different views, different opinions, different actions, and look, that's the whole point of what I'm saying. We're all an inspiration, you know, whether it be good, as in a way that other people can take from you and improve themselves, or on the other hand, some of our traits and our behaviours are traits and behaviours that can be taken by other people as an example of how not to be. And I think it is key that you do actively see other people as an inspiration. You know, you do actively notice when someone's doing something or saying something in a manner that you do find inspirational. You know, notice these things, you know, use those examples to better yourself. Don't fall into this trap where you believe that you can't do something, or you can't emulate someone because that's their thing. Like, that's a load of nonsense. That's just another sort of mental state that's going to keep you where you are. And you don't want to be where you are. You want to continually develop as a person. I mean, especially because the majority of people in the world aren't happy where they are. And the same with negative traits, right? You know, I used to do a lot of really sad, pathetic, degenerate things, like taking drugs, drinking too much alcohol, smoking every day. And I'm sorry if anyone's watching this and you know, you think that's harsh to say that, but that's just my beliefs. I don't have anything against anyone who takes drugs or smokes or drinks alcohol. I only care about myself. But ultimately, where I am in life now, I see a lot of the actions that I used to take as utterly degenerate. I see myself as, you know, I used to be living an utter waste man life, right? But at the time, you know, because of my morals and views at the time, I didn't see myself as that. And I was hanging around with a load of people that were also living similar lives, and they didn't see that it was like that, right? So, you know, you can imagine if no one in your group of friends ever sort of tries to better themselves by taking ideas and stuff from other people, whether it be in person or through the internet or whatever, or through books or whatever, then, you know, it's no wonder that, you know, there are sort of groups of friends or whatever that just live the same lives as each other throughout their whole life and never change and never improve. And it goes further, right? Because then they end up having children that pick up the same morals and the same ideas, and it just continues. I'm sort of like really happy that I'm the kind of person that, again, I don't look down my nose at anyone. I wish everyone in the world the best. But I'm really glad that I'm the kind of person that has always studied things online and watched videos from people that are further along in whatever aspect of life. And, you know, I've used that knowledge, I've soaked up all that knowledge like a sponge. And, you know, I've picked bits from this person, bits from that person to improve myself. But then them same people might have certain traits that I don't agree with. So I make a point of, you know, acknowledging that, so that I don't sort of accidentally take them traits because, you know, they don't align with where I want to be. GoPros are nightmares in the summer. It just turned off because it was too hot. But yeah, I'm nearly at the garage now. But yeah, you know, that all sort of ties into this idea, you know, of that everyone is an inspiration. You know, whether it be an inspiration in terms of what to do, or whether it be an inspiration in terms of what not to be. Every single person is an inspiration, including you. So just something to keep in mind. Do let me know in the comments what you think of this idea or this concept, and yeah, if you've got any questions about it, I'll be happy to answer them. You know, if there's anything I've sort of missed out along this sort of subject, something that you can add for the people watching this video, then yeah, again, feel free to put it in the comments. But other than that, I'm going to get myself to the garage and crack on with working on the cars. So massive thanks for watching.